Next up is Assistant Chief Shelley Zimmerman with our report on department recruitment and retention, an update, and maybe as you're preparing, if you wouldn't mind, just if you've got any other comments to add to Captain Ahern's about our staffing issues going into the summer and what we ought to know about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Shelley Zimmerman, Assistant Police Chief. And I'm here today to give you an update from the last time that I was here on April the 10th. I know you have in front of you a report that was prepared last week, but many of our numbers have changed since that report has actually been submitted. The staffing information that I'm going to give you today is absolutely up to date as of today. Since our last update, as I said at this committee on April the 10th, our budgeted number of sworn police officer remains at 1,969, but our actual number as of today is 1,833. That means we're 136 officers below our budgeted staffing, and we have 8 fewer police officers since the last time I was here just 3 weeks ago. One of those 8 who left for another local law enforcement agency, and I know I was told that tomorrow we have an additional officer leaving for a local law enforcement agency who's not included in this number. Therefore, only taking the numbers that I just spoke about as of today, this means since we presented our 5-year plan to this committee in July of last year, we have seen a net gain of only 1 officer. And as a reminder, all officers are counted, no matter if they're on military leave, if they're injured, or in the academy, or if they're in field training. And currently, we do have 28 recruits in our police academy who are in week 10 of a 6-month academy, and we have 58 officers who are in field training. Also, since our last update, we had another candidate who told us, as I spoke about last time, that we had 43 candidates that we had either given conditional job offers to or who were in our process to become San Diego police officers. Just this morning, I received information that we lost another one who opted out of our process to join another law enforcement agency. On Monday, we do, which is good news, have a police academy starting with 31 recruits. But currently, though, we are still experiencing 9 officers a month in attrition. Turning to our civilian staffing, our budgeted number of civilian staffing remains at 504, and our current staffing is 452, or 52 positions below our budgeted staffing. The last time I updated this committee, we had 3 fewer positions since we presented our 5-year plan. As of today, we have exactly the same number as when we presented our 5-year plan, and so that is a net gain of 0. We also have multiple civilian vacancies in some of our most critical civilian positions, such as communications, our crime lab, and records. So as you can see from these updated numbers that are current as of today, our staffing numbers and challenges do remain. Available to answer any questions.
Not exactly where you wanted to be a year out from the 5-year plan. What were you anticipating and hoping for at this point?
Well, we were hoping that our attrition number would be lower than it currently is at 9. We had anticipated that it would potentially be 8, maybe even 7. We're still hopeful by the end of the fiscal year that it may go down to that, but it's been quite a while now that it's been at 9, and then. Again, with the losing now 44 potential candidates that we had even given conditional job offers to or were in our process, opted out to other agencies. And so it's difficult challenges. It's very competitive out there with so many other agencies vying for the very best candidate.
And, of course, with the uncertainties here at the city that we've seen for the last several years.
Yes.
Yeah. So going forward, again, we need to take this seriously. We need to build in some opportunity for long-term planning and stability. And so I urge the public to be aware of this budgeting process and how important it is that we start negotiating 5-year action plans with regard to our employee groups, too, so that we can build in that stability and have room to plan and actually save some money so that we can pay better and recruit more top quality candidates. So thank you for being here. Are there any other questions? Ms. Saff. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I have one speaker who wanted to make a comment, Jeff Jordan, and then we'll go to the committee.
Thank you, Council. I appreciate being here. For those who don't know me, my name is Jeff Jordan. I'm the Vice President of the San Diego Police Officers Association. I'll try to be brief because I understand you have a full house with a lot of issues to carry. I brought with me a report from last year, last May of 2012, from the IBA. It's entitled Police Department Sworn and Civilian Staffing Challenges. Whether it's from 2012 or 2006, I can still remember Mayor Sanders standing up and sending out video to all the officers in 2006, asking them to stay when we were looking to go to other departments, telling us it was going to get better. 7 years later, it hasn't changed. I was going to begin this kind of presentation with a quote from Albert Einstein, who said, defined insanity as saying, you know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. We do that every year here. We go through the process. I stand before you. I say we need more officers. Chief Zimmerman gives a presentation to you saying we need more officers. We're happy that you respond accordingly and you spend a couple $1 million and you say we're going to hire some more officers. Last year at this time, last May, we were looking to go from 25 to 30. In the mayor's budget this year, we're looking to go from 30 to 34. We gained one additional officer from last year with all our efforts. Going to 34, does anybody in this room think it's going to be any different? It's not. It's not going to be any different until we do one thing: stop the attrition from our departments. It's unacceptable that we're losing the number of bodies that we're losing, and nobody wants to tackle the big gorilla in the room it's attrition. And attrition stems directly from compensation, where we're the lowest in the county, or one of the lowest in the county, one of the lowest in the state, and people continue to have operations. So until we address our attrition problem, we're not going to fix our overall staffing problem. I was a cop for 19 years, mostly in the field, mostly in patrol. Every time I would go to a critical incident, I can't tell you how many hundreds of people I treated in the field who were critically ill. Every time we went to a critical incident, the first thing we do is we stop the blood flow. We don't treat any of the other limbs or anything else until we stop the blood flow. The attrition going through our department is much like the blood flow in an injured body. Unless we stop it, nothing is going to get fixed. You have to stop the attrition. You have to stop the 8, 9, 10 people a month and start looking at it. How are we going to lower that? What are our metrics, our performance metrics, to lower it down to, say, 4 or 5 or 6? Because until we do that, I'll be back here looking at a report from the IBA in 2014 that goes along with the one from 2013, 2012, all the way back to 2006, assessing the same issues. You have an opportunity right now, Council, to do something about it. We are in contract negotiations. You are going back into closed session next week. I'm asking you to consider doing something different. Heck, I'm begging you to do something different. I don't know what the politics are behind closed door. I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you, we can't provide the services to this community until you start fixing some of the problems with our compensation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate everything you do out there. And again, looking forward, you're talking about the gains and the losses, but in the next 4 years, about half of our sworn staff is actually eligible for retirement. Is that correct?
That is correct. Within 4 years, about 900 of our officers will be eligible to retire.
All right, thank you. We have some questions and comments from members of the committee. We'll go first to Ms. Zapp.
Thank you. There's not really a lot of questions. I mean, you keep coming back, and every time you come back, it's actually getting worse. And, you know, Jeff, I feel your frustration, and, you know, Chief Zimmerman, also your frustration. It's palpable in your voices. We can hear it. We have a crisis. We have a crisis. And unfortunately, we don't have unlimited resources at our city. We don't have unlimited dollars, and they absolutely have to go where there's the crisis. And I absolutely agree, we need a 5-year plan in place. We need certainty in place. We need our officers. It's not just about, oh, let's have another academy. I mean, we've had 3 academies and we have a net gain of 1. It's ridiculous. And so, yes, let's do something different. And I know what I want to do different, and I've proposed it, and I can't talk about it. But I want to do something different, and my different is addressing the critical needs. We, you know, in the private sector, I'll just think out of the hat of, you know, one job I had. Every employee came in and they did an assessment of that employee, and you got anything from nothing to 5 or 6% that year. We need to do that with our labor groups, and we need to do that, be more businesslike at the city. What are the individual needs of everyone out there? And right now, I just can't take hearing another bad report where, things are getting worse in the community. So I hope we make progress. I would love to have progress, but for goodness sake, we don't have all the money in the world. We can't print money, and we have got to, like you said, do triage, stop the flow, and protect our citizens. And that's all I've got to say right now.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Kersey.
Thank you, Ms. Emerald, and thank you, Chief Zimmerman, for this report. A couple of questions regarding the attrition rate. So if we're averaging 9 per month, how much of that 9, or how many of those 9 people are retiring versus going to other jurisdictions?
Yes. I can tell you since the beginning of the fiscal year, for this fiscal year, we've had 12 officers that were currently working at our police department that went to other law enforcement agencies that we know about. Because others may have gone, but when they left, they didn't let us know that that's the reason why they were going. So the 2 that I'm speaking about now, that one left this week, had less than 2 years on. One that's leaving tomorrow has fewer than 4 years on our police department. So actually will be, as of tomorrow, it'll be 12 that have left to go to other law enforcement agencies. But as we spoke about, the 44 now that trying to get in the front door have opted to go to other law enforcement agency too, although they weren't, they hadn't been actually working at our department yet.
Okay, great, thank you. The question of the academy has come up before in terms of, I've heard people say this, online or in person or whatnot, as to why we don't require, if we have a problem of people going through the academy, we invest all that money in training them, and then they ultimately leave pretty quickly. They get hired somewhere else, so we've trained them, someone else gets the benefit of that training. Why don't we require them to sign a contract to stay here? Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yes, absolutely. We have looked at that, and if no one else does that locally, quite frankly, I'm not aware of anyone in the state that does that. As I spoke about earlier in my presentation, we're already having difficulty getting people in the front door that are already opting for other agencies. We believe that we have the best police department, not only locally, but throughout the United States. Now, I may be biased, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. And our goal is to get them in the front door, because once we get them in that front door, they're going to see how great our department is. And it may not sound like a lot of numbers. We talk about 12 or 13 going to other police departments, because we've been able to convince our officers to stay, as Sergeant Jordan spoke about, that hang in there. And because we have so much to offer as a big city department, we believe that many times people that would have possibly gone to another agency will stay here for that opportunity that a big city police department can offer. If we end up, before they even come in, to say, if you're going to leave within a certain amount of time and we're going to have you sign a contract and you're going to have to pay back that training. And as we spoke about, the investment cost is about $191,000 for 1 year. We don't believe that we'll be competitive, and we're already in a difficult competitive market, that it's just going to be that much more difficult for us to get the very best candidates to come in, because no other local, or again, I'm not even aware of a department that does that anywhere throughout the United States. So it would not put us on an equal playing field, because we're not even equal right now. And by doing that, it would put us in a more difficult situation.
Sure. So it'd make us less competitive than we already are today. Okay. Thank you. And then I guess my last question would be, given what we just heard out of Sergeant Jordan talking about the attrition rate, and then we've got the separate but certainly related issue of the academies in terms of getting that staffing level up. One of our challenges, as Ms. Zaff just mentioned, is that we have far more need than we have resources to fill the need, and that goes for infrastructure and a number of other issues in the city. How much of the investment that we're trying to make in the department should be going towards new blood versus retaining the guys and gals that we have right now?
Well, it has to be a balanced approach, because of what Sergeant Jordan said is we have to continue to get people in the front door, because we have to talk about succession planning, and that it takes many years to develop a skill set for many of these specialized assignments. So we have to have people come in the front door. But we're saying if we can keep the people that we have and lower our attrition rate, then maybe we don't need as many people coming in the front door, and we could stabilize. And here we talk a lot about stability. And we can stabilize, because during the mid-year budget reduction of fiscal year 2010, when we didn't hire, and we had civilian layoffs, and we didn't hire police officers for a year. That was absolutely crucial to us, and why we're continuing to play catch-up is because we had all these people leaving, and for an entire year we had nobody coming in the front door. So it has to be a balanced approach of both.
Okay, great. And again, thank you for this report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kersey. And our newest Assistant Chief is in the room, Walt Vasquez. Could you come on down for a moment, Chief? Because you are in charge of patrol. And I'd kind of like to get your perspective on the challenges out there for your patrol officers on a day-to-day basis, and also coming up to summer again. You've been on the force a long time, and what concerns, if any, do you have?
Hi, well, thank you. As you mentioned, I'm Walt Vasquez. I'm the newest Assistant Chief assigned to all of patrol operations. And with the summer upon us, it's certainly an exciting time, but also the challenges presented to us is the increase in tourism, the young adults, the kids out of schools. So it makes our job a little bit more difficult of managing the summertime activities and the visitors that we have. The challenges are, as Chief Zimmerman mentioned, is to maintain our staffing levels, to continue to focus on the problem areas. As Brian had mentioned earlier, Captain Ahern, policing smarter, using technology. Our technology is increasing and improving every single day, and we're utilizing that data and that information to really, really focus on the problem areas and the concerns within the city. So we police smarter, and when you have at time challenges with the summertime and the concerns of staffing, that's one of our missions, is to make sure that we're as efficient and effective as we possibly can.
Sure. You've got lots of people on the move out there, and is it fair to assume that it may take a little bit longer for officers to arrive at scenes of where there are some disturbances that are other than, top category, top priority calls? Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly. Is the response times is always one of the key issues and the key concerns for the police department. The emergency calls, we're always focusing on them, focusing on the category or emergency priority 1 calls. And so calls of lesser priority, where there is no necessarily emergency, there is no concerns of injuries or loss of life. Those calls, especially during the peak times, will take a little bit longer to respond to. But still, the focus is going to be the emergency calls, the calls for help, the calls for assistance, and of course our priority 1 calls. And we will continue to maintain and work hard to keep those response times down.
And we will work as best we can, too, to help get you the resources you need. Is there anything either of you would like to add?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to come and let you know what our current staffing challenges remain for both our sworn and civilian personnel.
All right. And there's a space holder for you every month. If you want to come in every month, I would hope that you come in at least 4 times a year.
I think
within the next few months.
Because the numbers, as we spoke about here, the report was just submitted last week, and again, the numbers changed today. They changed sometimes hourly. Probably it would make, for efficiency, maybe about once a quarter to come in. That way we can talk about what our academy numbers are, how many are in field training, and it might make more sense to come in probably quarterly.
Okay. Well, but with summer coming on, perhaps we could get you back here in July.
Absolutely.
To let us know how the summer is going, because August is dark here, and we want to make sure that if you've got any issues, we're able to be mobile and agile and address them, okay?
Absolutely.
All righty, so we'll see you back here in
Madam,
July.
may I
How's that?
ask one more quick
Yeah,
question?
you betcha.
Thank you. Sorry, my heart rate's down. I'm good. How much more, you've had some leaving to local police agencies, is it Chula Vista?
Yes, we've had Chula Vista, the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department is on a major hiring
Binge?
campaign right now. They're actually paying bonuses for our officers to lateral over to their police department.
And how much money approximately, if you have a figure, are they getting in their pocket right away from moving from here to either the Sheriff's Department, Chula Vista, wherever?
I know it's their take-home pay is more, depends on the situation, of the family situation of the particular officer, but I do know that they're getting paid bonus to go over there also.
Okay, but they're getting more take-home pay?
Yes, they are. As to exactly how much, it depends on the situation of each of the different officers.
I've heard, I don't know, maybe like what I've heard is like around $1,000 a month. Is that?
I can tell you the two officers that are going to Chula Vista, one has indicated that immediately they'll be their take-home pay will be increased by $1,100, and the other one said it would be increased by almost $1,200.
Okay, so I just wanted some benchmarks so we know what we're dealing with. So yeah, I mean, with the younger, I would imagine, obviously, these are younger. When they're the 1 or 2 years, they've only been on the force. They're, in their 20s, 30. And so you've got young family, a lot of bills, and you really have immediate needs you need to take care of.
And that's what I was, exactly correct, and that's what I was referring to. It depends on the family situation of each of the officers as to, with the health care and what the health care plan would be, because that is playing a significant part of
the health care plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is there an average age in your academies?
We're actually a little older than maybe when we came on. But I'm top of my head, I'm thinking it's in the mid 20s or so.
Oh, that old. I was going to say, if you were going to say 30, I was at 30 is the new 20, because 50 is the new 40, right? So,
That's right.
or 35. Anyway, so thank you. I just need to have an idea of what we're looking at.
Terrific.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you. And I promised an update on that City Heights fire. Chief Vasquez passed information on to us that the fire is out.
That's correct.
No injuries, no property damage, about 1.5 acres burned. So we can all relax. Thank you so very much
Thank
for
you very
being
much.
here, and thanks for everything you do. We appreciate it. And now on to, I think a couple of people are here for item 5.